Raising the minimum wage has good and bad effects on supply of goods and services and their producers. An increase would likely cause higher consumer spending, which is beneficial for economic growth. Low-income workers are likely to spend more when they are paid more. An increase in spending due to high compensations can likely lead to a multiplier effect, which boosts economic growth. A negative would be inflation rates due to high labor costs. Some other effects would be in the competitive market. Increases in minimum wage will not cause lower employment, but those unemployed would spend less. When looking at firms, an increase in minimum wage will create an increase in the cost of production, and the cost could rise higher if the firms try to maintain wages between low and high paid workers.
So the question I'll be answering is of the opportunity cost that comes from a rise when minimum wage is increased and what that imposes on the demand for labor. So the opportunity cost would be that once demand rises, once minimum wage is increased, the demand for labor actually goes down because companies would not want to hire workers because now they have to pay them more for more of their to serve under their company. So naturally, they start hiring less people because that would mean an increased expenses for them, and companies wouldn't want that. So yes, you can raise minimum wage, but that would lower the amount of people that would be hired in certain companies.
Hi. According to Steven and David Shapiro, on demand and supply at work in labor markets article, with the current pandemic trying to recover from a hike of unemployment, many companies lay off of the workers who were considered redundant and were left with the necessary workers for the company's daily operations. When the supply of goods and services is low, workers are laid off regardless of the pandemic. Market labor have demand and supply curves, and when the minimum wages are increased, then there is a decrease in the number of workers demanded by employers due to the higher labor prices.
After considering the potential impact a raise could have on economic situations in our country, raising the minimum wage would progressively be good for the economy, businesses, and people. Increasing the wage slowly to approximately $15 can be seen as punitive, but it does ensure that everyone benefits from the economic growth and not just the ones with a higher income. According to research conducted by the Economic Policy Institute, we are able to pay the lowest paid workers more than they ever received 50 years ago. The same author also argues that the workers are paid approximately 29% less than what they could have received 50 years ago, even though the economy's capacity to deliver increased wages has doubled in the span of time. Also, correlating to the cost of living increasing soon all over the country, workers will need at least $15 per hour to experience and sustain the benefits of economic growth. Overall, there isn't a consensus on the impact that an increase in minimum wage would have on the GDP, but I personally believe that by watching the data, we need a progressive increase to solve some structural disparities. The response would be ambiguous among all, and I think that it will depend on the implementation of the policy through the United States of America.